Tonight, dueling rallies in battleground southern swing states with the U.S. election 3 days away.
We will win, win, win.
When we fight, we win.
A fevered final push for votes with the race for the White House neck and neck.
They are overwhelmingly in favor of abortion access.
How reproductive rights could play a pivotal role in reshaping votes.
Let us remain united as a party.
Alberta Premier Danielle Smith survives a leadership test within her party. India slams Canada for allegations linking a powerful minister to a campaign of violence and intimidation on Canadian soil.
The absurd and baseless references made to the Union Home Minister of India.
As protesters converge outside a Sikh temple in BC.
What do you want? Kurdistan!
Plus, an historic high-flying tribute.
Showtime, Vince Carter!
When you appreciate something, this is how you react. So I'm gonna react like this.
The Toronto Raptors raise Vince Carter's jersey to the rafters.
CTV National News with Heather Butts. Reporting tonight, Marcia McMillan.
Good evening. The clock is ticking down to one of the most consequential elections in American history. With so much at stake and so little time left to campaign, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are blitzing through the South, trying to appeal to the voters they think will take them through the finish line. CTV's Rachel Aiello starts us off with the battle for the battleground states.
If she broke it, we will fix it.
We are not going back.
The U.S. presidential election is just 3 days away. Today, both Republican candidate Donald Trump and Democratic candidate Kamala Harris hit the hustings in key southern swing states. Trump was in battleground North Carolina, the state he plans to spend every day in until Tuesday, and the only swing state he won in both 2016 and 2020.
Every problem facing us can be solved, but now the fate of our nation is in your hands. We win this state, we're going to win the whole ball game.
Before also touching down in North Carolina, Harris held a rally in Atlanta, Georgia, where she encouraged her supporters to get out the vote.
No one can sit on the sidelines. Let's spend the next 3 days knowing that when we look back on these 3 days, we will have no regrets about what we could have done.
Saturday was the fourth day in a row that VP Harris and former President Trump stumped in the same state on the same day. With the race for the White House still a dead heat, both campaigns focused efforts in the final weekend on locking in undecided voters. At a quick stopover in Salem, Virginia, Trump tried to appeal to women, as data suggests they may be responding more strongly to Harris.
And I would say beautiful, but I'm not allowed to use that term anymore with women.
After Cardi B's backing last night,
she's passionate. She's compassionate.
The Harris campaign brought out Bon Jovi to encourage all Americans to make their voices heard.
Go vote Tuesday, November the 5th.
There are around 625,000 Americans in Canada eligible to vote in Tuesday's U.S. election. With a potential Canada Post mail strike looming, anyone who hasn't voted yet is being urged to use a courier service to submit any last-minute mail-in ballots. Marcia?
Rachel, thank you. Abortion is a driving issue in this election. As part of our ongoing pre-election series, our chief anchor and senior editor, Omar Sachedina, is on the road with a focus tonight on why abortion is such a contentious issue in the state of Ohio.
For Kamala Harris and Tim Walz.
From Billie Eilish to Beyoncé and Taylor Swift, celebrities are making reproductive rights a key issue in this election. Even though the issue of reproductive rights has emerged as a major flashpoint in this election, poll after poll shows that the majority of Americans support abortion access, at least in certain circumstances. And we're stopping in Ohio to talk about it. That's J.D. Vance's home state.
President Trump, who of course is the leader of the Republican Party, has explicitly said that he would not support a national abortion ban. He has said that he thinks this issue should be left to the states. That is the official policy.
We head to an abortion healthcare clinic in Cleveland to speak with the executive director. Inside, a security guard and metal detector. The protesters vary in number, but staff tell us they're always here. Bethany Lewis can see them from her office.
We're always being very cautious.
She's new here and hasn't received threats, but knows the possibility is real. So does this doctor in Dayton.
It's really hard when I have a patient who I have to decide if I'm going to send her to the hospital. And the first thing that crosses my mind is how many protesters were outside today.
The same month Roe v. Wade was overturned in 2022, Ohio put into effect a restriction on abortions, limiting them to early in pregnancy. That restriction was recently struck down.
I think what really was amazing about the constitutional amendment was that it showed Ohioans that they are overwhelmingly in favor of abortion access.
Now, in over 20 states, there are Trump abortion bans.
I think politics are taking a long time to catch up with the will of the people in this case.
Here in Ohio, where abortion access is less restrictive than in other parts of the country, women are traveling from as far south as Mississippi, Alabama, Texas, and Louisiana for access. What makes Ohio unique?
We are really a test ground for other states to watch, to be able to give, hope for people as well while they're going through their own challenges within their states.
We're heading to the University of Michigan at Dearborn, and we're going to be talking to Pam Aronson. Hi, Pam.
Hello.
How are you?
How are you?
Pleasure
nice
to
meet you. These are people at reproductive age, and so an unplanned pregnancy can derail both men and women's plans. But the other piece of it is that there's very much of a sense, especially on the part of young women, that they want to control their bodies. And so when they see constant attacks on that, that becomes, a mobilizing voting issue.
We hit the road again, covering 1,100 kilometers by the time we get to Pittsburgh. It's also a ballot box issue here in Pennsylvania.
I'm not only voting for myself, but women all around the nation. So that's why I voted for Kamala. It really means everything to me, honestly, especially since you don't know what will be taken away next.
What's your message to voters out there?
Please vote. And please vote as if your bodily autonomy depends on it.
For many voters, especially young women, a key issue, driving them to cast their ballot.
Omar will be on the road in Pittsburgh tomorrow, and we'll have live coverage from Washington starting on Monday. In Alberta, the results of a leadership vote for Premier Danielle Smith are in. United Conservative Party members seem more united than ever behind their leader. CTV's Kathy Lee is in Red Deer with more on the results.
Marcia, the United Conservative Party is showing overwhelming support, with 91.5% of members approving Danielle Smith as their leader. About 6,000 UCP members were in attendance at the annual general meeting. Members CTV News spoke to had expressed unwavering enthusiasm and support for Smith, which is reflective in the vote result.
I think that the approval rating was a good sign that she has been listening to us.
I was surprised, yes. I thought it might be a little lower. I was hoping it would be 75 or better. But this is way better.
That just goes to show that we've become more united than ever as a party, and that we support the grassroots movement, and that's what this is about.
Smith took the stage and thanked her supporters. Earlier today, she addressed rumors some party members have been campaigning against her. She called for the party to remain united, telling supporters not to sink to the level of their opponents by attacking, vilifying one another, and breaking into factions.
We have a robust policy discussion and a robust process, and you can't get 100% of support of 100% of members 100% of the time. So I just hope that I've managed to gain ground on the last time they had a chance to offer their opinion.
In addition to the leadership vote, members also voted on 35 policy resolutions, which were all passed. Some of them include policies to abandon net zero targets, remove the designation of CO2 as a pollutant, and one looking to ban transgender women from female washrooms and change rooms. As for the leadership vote, Smith is much more popular with her party this time around. In the last leadership review, she only scored 54% of support from members. Marcia.
Kathy, thank you. New developments tonight in the fallout between Canada and India. India's government is trashing Ottawa, denying allegations by Canadian government officials linking India's Home Minister to the targeting of Sikh activists in Canada. This while protesters gathered outside Vancouver temples. CTV's Jeremy Sharon reports.
A clear denial by India today of allegations against its powerful Home Minister.
Government of India protests in the strongest terms to the absurd and baseless references made to the Union Home Minister of India.
The claims by Canada against Minister Amit Shah, a close advisor to Prime Minister Narendra Modi, first reported by the Washington Post, that he ordered the targeting of Sikh activists in Canada, were confirmed during a parliamentary committee hearing this week.
Mr. Morrison, can you comment? Did you provide
Sure.
that information?
The journalist called me and asked me if it was that person. I confirmed it was that person.
India today specifically referenced Morrison's comments to a parliamentary committee and says it launched a formal protest over the accusations.
Canadian officials deliberately leak unfounded insinuations to the international media. Such irresponsible actions will have serious consequences for bilateral ties.
Relations between the two countries have increasingly stressed since the RCMP made serious criminal allegations against agents of the Indian government last month. Both countries have expelled diplomats.
What do you want? Khalistan!
Sikh activists in Canada have grown increasingly outspoken. Protesters gathered outside a BC Gurdwara today, where Indian consular officials organized camps they said to offer services mostly related to pensions for Indian nationals, but protesters think otherwise.
Indians are establishing and have established networks. Now, how do these networks get established? Well, events like this. How do they get information on Canadians? Through events like this.
Canadian officials insist they've shared evidence of their allegations with India, whose officials have denied seeing any proof and have repeatedly called Canada's claims ridiculous. Marcia?
Jeremy, thank you. Iran's supreme leader is threatening what he calls a crushing response to Israel's strikes on the Islamic Republic last month. The warning comes as the Israeli military announced the capture of a senior Hezbollah operative in North Lebanon. Meantime, Hezbollah has claimed responsibility for an attack on a town in central Israel that injured 11 people. The Iran-backed militant group called it retaliation for Israel's airstrikes on Lebanon. Spain is sending 5,000 more soldiers and police to deal with the devastating flooding in Valencia. Spain's prime minister says the additional personnel will help with searches and cleanup. At least 211 people are dead. Dozens remain unaccounted for after torrential rain swept through Spain this week. It's the deadliest flood-related disaster in Europe since 1967. British police were on the case of a sophisticated cheese con dubbed the Great Cheese Robbery, arresting a 63-year-old man cheesemongers say may have been carrying too much cheddar. CTV's Alex Carper reports.
This is Neil's Yard Dairy, the well-known artisanal cheese retailer that had 950 wheels of cheddar stolen by an alleged scammer, posing as a wholesale distributor for a big French retailer.
There's only a small handful of real cheddar cheesemakers in the world, and these are some of the cheeses, or most of them, that have got nicked.
According to the suppliers, the stolen cheese, worth over 538,000 Canadian dollars, is believed to have been taken to either Russia or the Middle East. Celebrity chef Jamie Oliver on his Instagram says this entire situation is a shame.
If anyone hears anything about posh cheese going for cheap, it's probably some wrong-uns.
This cheese heist is catching the attention of some cheesemakers here in Manitoba, saying they are surprised something of this magnitude occurred.
I imagine someone doing that here, like the caper they'd have to pull off. They'd have to pretend to be a distributor or a large customer and then go through all those steps, and then it's not like they run in and grab it. Like, we're talking tons of cheese here.
Cheesemakers in Manitoba say cheese is becoming more popular and there is more of a demand for it.
I'm stunned that someone was so bold to do something like that. But thinking about like how cheese has becoming like, you know, the coolest stuff, and I'm not surprised that someone had that idea, actually.
Cheesemakers say the industry is extremely expensive and is also very time-consuming.
You're not making something and selling it tomorrow. A lot of these things are aged for a year. So there is a lot of variables that go into making a high-quality, good, consistent product.
Alex Carpa, CTV News, Winnipeg.
Coming up, schools in crisis.
One of my members or a student is going to get severely injured or worse.
What's behind the shocking rise in classroom violence? Schools are meant to be safe places of learning for students and teachers, but a new report is shattering that notion as violence is becoming all too common. CTV's Garrett Berry reports.
The fallout of a shocking school attack will finally conclude this month in a St. John's courtroom. It was 17 months ago, Prince of Wales Collegiate in St. John's was the site of a brutal axe attack. One teenager was left with a fractured skull, ambushed by 5 other young people. The last of the attackers is set to be sentenced at the end of this month. The previous 4, all sentenced to between 18 and 24 months in youth detention. The jaw-dropping incident shocked the province, but a new report put together by this province's Teachers Association says violence inside school hallways is only getting more common.
My worry as head of this association is that one of my members or a student is going to get severely injured or worse in days and years to come.
The Newfoundland and Labrador Teachers Association reports more fighting, more physical assault, and more threats and harassment than any time since schools shut down for the COVID-19 pandemic. In the last school year, the Royal Newfoundland Constabulary were called 178 times to schools in their jurisdiction, up about 50% from the year before. Overall, the report concludes there are 22 violent incidents inside Newfoundland and Labrador schools every day.
You're around our workplace and directly sometimes involved. It takes a significant toll. The work that our student assistants do with our kids with exceptionalities so they being part of our schools is challenging enough. It's stressful enough.
Newfoundland and Labrador's provincial government says it has improved staffing in schools by hiring more guidance counselors and new trial learning assistant positions that have gotten good feedback. Ontario's teachers have found just as much violence there. This summer, the Ontario Secondary Schools Teachers Federation reported that 30% of their members were personally on the receiving end of violence in school.
We shouldn't be normalizing this. I go into a Canada Post office and it says violence, harassment will not be tolerated. That's in the doctor's office. That's in stores. We don't get to say that in education.
The big question is why disruptions from the COVID-19 pandemic have gotten a lot of the blame. But Ontario union leaders say the problem is older than that and will take government investment to fix. Garrett Berry, CTV News, St. John's.
Still ahead. Movie melodrama as the fight for foreign film production heats up. The pressure is on BC's film industry, nicknamed Hollywood North, to keep pace with potential new incentives aimed at keeping shoots in California. Here's CTV's BC Bureau Chief, Andrew Johnson.
It's a common sight on the West Coast, city streets transformed for big-budget U.S.-based film and television productions.
It brings so much money into the economy. 45,000 people are employed in BC in making movies and TV shows, and it's such a vibrant part of the economy as well. We all love it when we see a TV show that's been made in BC.
But Hollywood North could soon face some stiff new competition from Hollywood itself.
We're in a position we can afford this, and we need to do this. This is about jobs, this is about investment, and it's about recognizing and closing that the world we invented is now competing against us.
California's governor wants to more than double the yearly amount budgeted for the state's film and tax credit program. It's a trying time for the business. Multiple strikes and cutbacks at struggling streaming services have hit hard on both sides of the border.
We're definitely in a soft patch right now. I would call it a recession in our business. The peak was certainly, I think, actually after the pandemic in 2021 and 2022.
BC's premier wants to make his own move to backstop the multi-billion-dollar industry. David Eby campaigned on increasing the province's tax credit for film and television productions by 8%.
The message to film workers in British Columbia, who I know are feeling a lot of the pressures of the big streamers dialing back their budgets and other pressures facing the industry, is that we're in your corner.
If EB makes good on his promise, BC will be offering a larger incentive to foreign productions than other big Canadian players, Ontario and Quebec. The weak Canadian dollar is also a big draw north, and industry watchers say now is the time to capitalize. Andrew Johnson, CTV News, Vancouver.
Coming up, the Toronto Raptors pay tribute to their former superstar. Finally tonight, an historic honor for a retired Toronto Raptors legend.
First, Toronto Raptor to have his jersey retired, Vince Carter!
An emotional night at Scotiabank Arena for Vince Carter and his family, watching his jersey raised to the rafters. Here's CTV's Kamala on an electrifying career.
With a right-handed monster jam!
He was known as Air Canada. For his high-flying slam dunks, he brought fans to their feet and Toronto Raptors ticket sales soaring. Now Vince Carter's number 15 retired, raised to the rafters.
Sorry.
An emotional Carter speaking to media today.
It's something about seeing those highlights in this building, because that's where it was created.
And a mural unveiled in downtown Toronto today.
Vince Carter from the University of North Carolina.
Carter, drafted 5th overall in the 1998 NBA draft, had almost an immediate impact on the game, showcasing his skill at one of the most memorable slam dunk contests in NBA history. He launched the Raptors into a playoff series win for the first time ever, also pushing the team into the postseason for 3 straight years.
We grew together. We brought each other along together.
But perhaps most importantly was the ripple effect across the country. A new generation of Canadians playing pickup on any hoop they could find, mimicking Carter's famous moves. Vinsanity had swept the nation. Ron Maharaj attended Vince Carter's last youth basketball camp before he was traded.
He did so much for the community. It's leaving a lasting impression.
An impression that now spans generations.
I didn't get to see him play, but I saw the dunk contest that he played in, and he was really good.
After some injury troubles, Carter was traded to the New Jersey Nets.
Showtime!
But number 15 had already made his mark on the country. Basketball's popularity was surging in Canada, and there was no going back.
And now, trying to put a bow on that it's crazy.
And now forever etched into the fabric of this city and this basketball nation. Kamala Karamali, CTV News, Toronto.
That's it for us. I'm Marcia McMillan. For all of us at CTV National News, good night.